Good morning. Welcome to this Unitarian Universalist Church, which serves our congregation here in Birmingham, our church in Tuscaloosa, and all of our folks online. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are today, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. To all who are here this morning, welcome home.
Good morning. We appreciate your attention to this morning's announcements. You'll find announcements in your order of service, or if you are watching at home, these will be on the slides. Please fill out your connection card and notice the opportunities at the bottom. Folks online, your connection card is in a link in the chat. We appreciate everyone filling out our connection card. Our friends in Tuscaloosa are planning a joint trip to the Equal Justice Initiative, which is on July 8th, and you can sign up on the connection card if you want to be a part of that. Our Reproductive Justice Task Force is not meeting today as planned. Most of our members were out at the Yellowhammer rally yesterday at Lynn Park, and they are all very tired and deserve a break. But thank you to all the Reproductive Task Force members who came and all of the members of the congregation who showed up at the rally to show our support. Reverend Julie will be off for the entire month of July. This is her annual study leave and her well-earned vacation. So if you need anything during July, please just reach out to the church office and Kim will help connect you with the right people. And you can also contact our Care and Share committee. And now we have a quick announcement from Eddie, who's going to talk to us about the Seekers class.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Eddie Easterling. Morning. And I'm hoping to start a spiritual seekers group. And what this is for people who are just searching for, wanting to explore different religions, different practices, just different faith traditions. And we're going to start with this book called When One Religion Isn't Enough. It's the lives of spiritually fluid people. And they give an example in here. One of the people in here was a professor of mine at Olive School of Theology, Miguel de la Torre, and he grew up Catholic and in Santeria, and later he became a Southern Baptist, and later he became a radical liberation theologist. So it's about people that practice different religions. And I'm one of those. I've been through Buddhism, Hinduism. I'm currently deep into Judaism. So I'm always looking for new spiritual ideas and all that. So what I wanted to do is get a group together that could read this book and talk about our different spiritual practices. I would love to hear your stories. So, and this will also be Zoom, so the people at Tuscaloosa, anyone else can join us online if you can't make it in person. Let's see if I had anything else I wanted to say here. So if you like to explore different religions, if you're a seeker, or if you're just curious to what this means to be spiritually fluid. So we're going to start July 16th. That's a Sunday at 11:30. I'm not sure where we're meeting yet. I guess that'll be announced. And it's going to meet every other week for 6 weeks. Then after that, towards the end of that period, we'll decide what we want to do next. And I've looked at some things like spiritual practices, mysticism, world religions. So as a group, we can make a decision about what we want to pursue next. So anyway, I would love to have you. I'd love to have everybody. We'd love to talk about this. And you know, I'm hoping, I'm just going to facilitate. I'm not going to teach as much. And I'm hoping to learn about people's different beliefs and practices, you know, just to kind of broaden my perspective. So if you have any questions, I think you can call the office. Is that what it says? Or you can grab me. Thank you.
We have already ordered some of Eddie's books, and so if you would like to purchase those from the church, we're happy to get those for you. I was supposed to be off today. That's why David Scher is graciously here to speak to us today. But we needed a new accompanist, right? So we have been auditioning accompanists for the past, this is our 3rd week now. And I just want to point out on your connection card that I would like your input. So please look at your connection card. The names are at the very bottom. And, please wait until the end of the service to rate Dr. Powell, who is with us today. We are so happy he's here. But I would really like your feedback. If you did not hear someone, please don't rate them, because that's not important. Make sure you've heard everybody that you rate. But I would really like your opinion, as I'm hoping to make a really quick decision after these auditions. So if you have any questions, let me know, but I really value your feedback, and we're so grateful that Dr. Curtis Powell is with us today. Thank you so much.
And with that, the prelude prepares us for worship. Please rise in body or in spirit for the lighting of our chalice. We are all flames when we gather hand in hand, our church, our community, our home. We inspire, we celebrate, we come together, sharing our light of hope for our shared future. In the spirit of inclusivity and welcome, please take the next few minutes to just greet the people around you. And folks online, please introduce yourself in our chat. Please be seated for our opening words. It's hard to wrangle everyone. These are our opening words. With thankful hearts, we have come together this morning to celebrate the bounty of this day, to bask in the warmth of this community, to share with friends the tides of our lives, to entertain perennially our hope for a better future. We join together this morning, as always, to resist injustice and inequality wherever they may be found. Our hearts are touched by the human need we feel around us, whether far away or within the reach of our hand. We come here to be together because this is how we believe our lives are best lived: in questioning and in conversation, in compassion and in service, in gratitude and in joy, in companionship and in love. It is good to be together this morning. Please rise in body or spirit for the hymn number 1008 in the soft cover hymnal.
Thank you, song leaders. Now is that time in our community when we share what we carry with us on this day, whether joy or sorrow. For those of you online, please share yours in the chat and remember to lift one another up in the ways that you do best. For those of you in person today, I now invite you to come forward and drop a stone in honor or in memory of what is on your heart today. Please come forward. Today we celebrate with all those who celebrate. I celebrate my friend Jeremy, who made me this beautiful stole. Isn't it lovely? So thank you, Jeremy. We also lift up all of those who are grieving, all those who are sorrowful, all of those who have lost their lives this week, whether at sea or somewhere else, and especially those migrants who are calling for justice and in need of love and attention. May we keep one another in our hearts and minds this week in the spirit of community and love. Please join me in the spirit of meditation, followed by a moment of silence. Today's meditation was written by Emmy Lou Belcher. Let us take a moment to settle into the silence. Hear and feel your quiet breathing. Hear and feel the quiet of this room and this community of quiet people. As we sit in the quiet, feel the life that stretches between us, that fills this room. Feel the opening of all the windows of our beings and the full outstretching of our spirits as we reach out.
Excuse me. One warm spring night, my family went to church. We weren't there to have regular services. We were there to hear Dr. King speak. We were there to plan. He wanted to raise an army of peaceful protesters to fight for freedom. His brown eyes flashing fire and love, Dr. King told us the time had come to march. If I march, Mama said, I'll lose my job, sure enough. I can't march, Daddy said. I got a family to feed. The weight of the world rested on our parents' shoulders, but this burden, this time, did not have to be. We came. Hate dogged my heels all that day, its yellow canine teeth sharp, but courage walked by my side and kept me going. Disperse or you'll be jailed, the police shouted the first day. Disperse or you'll get wet, the police shouted the second day. Disperse or we'll release the dogs, the police shouted the third day. We did not disperse. We kept on marching. We wouldn't stop until things started to change. Hundreds of us went to jail on the first day, and even more on the second. My turn wasn't until the third day. After I was sprayed by water stronger than anything I ever felt, rough hands pushed me forward, and I fell to my knees in the police wagon. I was going to jail. Dr. King reassured our parents. Don't worry about your children, he said. They're going to be all right. Don't hold them back if they want to go to jail, for they are doing a job for not only themselves, but for all of America and all of mankind. That night, crowded into a cell too small for even half of the kids, we sang, "We Shall Overcome." Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, and freedom is coming. Our parents couldn't be there with us, but still we sang, wrapped in the proud and loving arms of our ancestors. I was still in jail, but we heard that the next day and the next, more kids marched. The water hoses they used to sting us could not stop our fierce tide. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Turn the other cheek, we have been taught. Show love where there is hate. The world watched as hate bruised us. For 7 days, we walked only in love. The jail swelled to bursting, and even President Kennedy took notice. Daddy said the president received letters and calls about us from all over the world. Our march will become a memory, a small part of a larger story, but we had been heard, and the seeds of revolution were sown. Two days and nights I stayed in the jail. Some stayed even longer. When I left, I was tired and sore, and my dress was ripped, but my smile was as wide as the Mississippi River. I had made a difference. I'm so proud of you, baby girl, Mama said. Your march was what made them see. With nothing more than our feet, voices, and courage, we had done what others could not. Change was right around the corner. We felt it like a cool breeze in an Alabama August. On May 10th, the great news rang out. Dr. King had reached an agreement with the white leaders of the city. Desegregation would begin. One month later, I was playing on a playground I had never been allowed to play on before. 2 months later, my family ate at a diner we'd never been allowed to eat in before. Our march made the difference. We children led the way. Singing the songs of freedom, 1,000 strong we came. All right, you guys ready to go downstairs? All right. If you guys will help us sing the children downstairs, thank you.
May the little children lead us. Today's guest speaker is David Scher. David is, well, let me read David's bio. David lives in Vestavia Hills with his wife of 56 years. He's a retired small business person who has been the chairman of the Birmingham Business Alliance, REV Birmingham, Rev Birmingham, yes, and the City Action Partnership. David is the publisher of comebacktown.com, which is published weekly on the Comebacktown website, on AL.com, and often in the Birmingham Business Journal. One of the reasons I invited David is because I have been reading and enjoying his articles, as many of you may have. Yes? No? And he has been saying some very courageous things. And one of our values in this church community is that we support democracy and the ability to have and support our journalists. And so I invited David here today as part of that effort of, loving on our journalists who say the courageous things that we need them to say. So please join me in welcoming David Scher to the pulpit.
Well, this is quite an exhilarating day for me. If you'd asked me last year that I would be giving a sermon at a Unitarian church, I would have probably told you that you were crazy. Probably because I didn't even know that that was a possibility. But I found this experience quite exhilarating. I give a lot of speeches about Birmingham and what the potential of Birmingham could be. But this is probably one of the first times I've given a talk that I was actually sort of nervous about it. But I kind of got over that nervousness when I got an email from Billy Field, who's one of your members in Tuscaloosa. He's written a couple of columns for Comeback Town, and he's quite passionate about making the world a better place. And then when I got here today, and Reba came up and talked to me, I've known her for many years. And then when I heard Amethyst talk to the children today, I know that I'm with my people who really want to make a difference in the world. And today when the world and the United States seems to be so divided, it really does my heart good to know that there are good people like you who are trying to make a difference every day. I start out all my speeches with the same question, and that is, who thinks that Birmingham has reached its potential? I've never had anybody raise their hand yet. which is kind of depressing. I'm going to start off, and I'll do a little short reading here. I don't do a lot of reading because I would rather do talking, but George Layton mentioned in an article published in Harper's Magazine in August of 1937. This is the title: Birmingham, Alabama, the city of perpetual promise, in a mountain wilderness, laid a region devastated by war, inhabited by bankrupts. A group of speculators and industrialists in 1871 founded a city and peopled it with two races, afraid of each other. This town without parallel anywhere was Birmingham, Alabama. So he was talking about Birmingham, the city of perpetual promise, 86 years ago. And we're still having that same conversation here today. How many, I'm just curious, was familiar with Comeback Town prior to my speaking here today? Raise your hand. A few of you. I appreciate you following Comeback Town. Of course, one of the things I'd like to accomplish here today is for you to consider subscribing to the newsletter so that you can kind of continue the conversation. In the few minutes that we have here today, I'm not going to be able to do a lot of education, but hopefully to pique your interest in Birmingham. It only publishes once every 2 weeks, and it's easy to opt out, so it's easy to get out of if you decide that you want to read it. I write a column every once in a while, but quite frankly, most of the columns are written by guest columnists who have something I think important to say about Birmingham. It's remarkable that in the last census data, there are 33 cities in the United States that have 500 million people or more, and only 3 have had less growth than Birmingham. Birmingham has just been pretty much stagnant. And when I say Birmingham, the city of Birmingham has lost population last year. Jefferson County lost population last year. And amazingly, even the metropolitan area, which includes Shelby County, lost a few folks. And here we are in the heart of the Sun Belt, and we're virtually having no growth. And of course, you have to ask the question of why is that? And even if you take a couple more steps to look at it, probably 30, 35 years ago, Birmingham was the home of 30 public companies. Now we have 8. So we're certainly not going in the right direction economically. The reason I started publishing Comeback Town to begin with was basically I was at a civic club meeting about 11 years ago, and I sat at a table with a bunch of well-to-do businessmen, and everyone told me that their children had left Birmingham. I was in shock that this was okay, that we are losing our young people because of lack of opportunities here. And that's how I happened to start writing the first column back then. So the question is, how is that even possible, that we're not having growth, considering that we're in the middle of the Sun Belt? And I'm going to go through this fairly quickly as to what it is. Number one, at least my opinion as to what it is. First of all, you start off with the city of Birmingham. The city of Birmingham has a population of about 197,000 people. Metropolitan Birmingham has 1.1 million people. So that means that only about 17% of the population of the metropolitan area actually lives in the city of Birmingham. I'm just curious, we're in Homewood right now, I assume. Where are we? We're actually in Birmingham. How many of you live in the city of Birmingham? Raise your hand. So 10 or 15%, something like that. There's 34 other cities other than Birmingham in metropolitan, just in Jefferson County alone. So if Birmingham only represents 17% of the metropolitan area, you could have Moses as the mayor. How much could that individual actually do, because they represent so few people and so few a part of the resources? So that's number one. Then you have Jefferson County, and Jefferson County has 5 county commissioners, and each one of those commissioners represents a district in the county. Not one of them is elected countywide. So each of them only represents a very small 20% of the county. And then, as I said before, you have 35 municipalities, and every mayor, every city council from that municipality gets up every morning and tries to figure out what's best for Mountain Brook, what's best for Hoover, what's best for Homewood, what's best for Trussville, not necessarily worried about the whole region itself. And then lastly, you have a state constitution that was written in 1901 that doesn't allow home rule, so that many of the decisions are made by the state legislator, and the state legislators represent even a smaller portion of the total. So you have a city that represents a small portion of the total, 34 other cities, 35 total, a county commissioner that represents a small portion, and then legislators who even represent a smaller portion. So if I said to Kate, you want to do something great for our community, why don't you run for political office? What office would she run for? There's really nobody in charge here. It's just everybody out looking for themselves, which is unfortunate. And it creates all kinds of problems because each city is trying to do things on their own. And so what you have is 53 fire departments in Jefferson County, 23 police departments plus Jefferson County sheriffs. You have 14 911 call centers. You have 17 jails. If you compared that to a city like Nashville, which has a county city government, they have one of everything. We have lots of everything, which is really, really expensive. And let me just give you a quick indication of what happens. This is just one example. I got a note from someone who was the accident investigator for the city of Birmingham. And let me see if I can describe the area that I'm talking about. I assume that you're familiar with the Red Mountain Expressway. Okay, if you were coming from downtown heading towards Homewood, and you got on the Red Mountain Expressway, you'd be kind of going down the highway, and you look off to the right as you go, and there'd be UAB, and to the left there would be St. Vincent's, right? Everybody following me? And you go through the cut, and then as you get past the cut, you can either take that bridge that kind of takes 280 over, and you keep going, or you can go straight under it and go to Homewood. Do you kind of follow that? So this is what this accident investigator for the city of Birmingham described. The flyover from Red Mountain is in the county. Right before the flyover is Birmingham, as is the bottom ramp onto Highway 280. The first zoo exit is mostly in Birmingham, but one part is actually in the state of Alabama. Union Hill is in Birmingham. Take a left going to Mountain Brook and you're actually in Birmingham until the nursing home on the left. The exit ramp on your right is Homewood because Mountain Brook didn't want an express oil change in their city. Highway 280 south past the Hollywood Bridge is Mountain Brook and the state of Alabama. So if you're unfortunate enough to have a wreck somewhere in that area, first of all, whoever comes to see you is going to come from the place, the person who made the cell phone call from, which may or may not be where you are. And so consequently, when you come there, or in many other places in Birmingham, the wrong people show up. And that could be not a very good situation if you have an issue that has to be dealt with. And so what you have all around the community is you have a community and you see three different garbage trucks from different cities come there, different school buses come there. Everybody's just doing all kinds of things kind of against each other. And then let's talk about the cities that are created. We have somewhat divided up our cities basically according to race. So if I said to you, I'm going to ask you if this city is a black city or a white city, and you can raise your hand and let me know what you think. Mountain Brook is a white city, right? Vestavia Hills is a white city. Birmingham is a black city. Nashville is a, nobody knows. It's a city, right? But this is what we've sort of done, is divide ourselves up racially. And it's so interesting, if you notice and you go on the internet, if you're trying to do research about Birmingham, I'm just going to stick with Birmingham, Nashville, because it's an easy thing to talk about, because I talk about Nashville being a county city government. But let's assume that if you look up Birmingham on the internet, you're going to find out that Birmingham is one of the most dangerous cities in America, that people are uneducated, that people are overweight and obese, and the list kind of goes on and on. But when we talk about Birmingham being a violent city, you're only talking about the city of Birmingham. You're not talking about Vestavia and Hoover and Mountain Brook. You're only talking about the urban area. When you talk about Nashville, all the upscale neighborhoods are included in the totals. So that when you see the statistics, you say, oh my God, poor Birmingham. Quite frankly, if I said to you before the talk, Birmingham's one of the most dangerous cities in America, and all of you would go like this, the fact that it matter, if you look at it metropolitan-wise, not so much. I'm not saying that good things go on necessarily in some of the urban parts of Birmingham, but they also are not so good in the urban parts of Atlanta or Nashville either. Also, you run into the problem, and this is something that has gone on historically, that cities spend a lot of time trying to build up their tax revenue in Jefferson County. So what they've done historically is to try to steal businesses from other parts of town. So let's go back, say, a number of years ago. Tom Williams used to have a car dealership downtown. I don't know if you remember or not. And then it was stolen away by another community so that they could get the tax revenues. And then Birmingham was not too happy about losing those tax revenues. So they decided to see if they could get some of the tax revenues back. So they went to that city where there was a Sam's and a Walmart. And they offered them a lot of money to move to Birmingham. Well, the Sam's did not move because it just did. And of course, it went out of business and it became moot. But Eastwood Mall Birmingham did get that one. And so then that city decided that it was going to come to Birmingham and try to steal a hospital away. So Montclair Hospital, they decided to build the infrastructure for that hospital. City of Birmingham said, you're not taking my hospital away. So they decided that they would give them $55 million to move out on 280, which is where Grandview is today. And then Hoover has the headquarters for Coach Saban's Mercedes dealership. And that city decided they were going to steal it away from Hoover. And so they spent $13 million to do that. So when you get through, you find out that how many more jobs were created by all of this? Anybody? None. And how many more businesses did we get from that? None. So we spent probably $200 million in a short period of time. That money could have been spent to recruit other businesses. It could have been used to decrease crime, improve education. So one of the things that we're looking at is what are some of the things that we can do to make things better in the future. One thing that we have been successful at is that we've gotten the mayors together and they have agreed to sign an agreement, which they have done, which makes it where they're not poaching businesses away from each other. They've been doing that for about 2 years and it's worked really well. And we're looking to try to get the mayors to sit down and do other things like have fewer jails and fewer 911 call centers and so forth like that. And so there is some potential things we can do. There are some discussions about, is there some way that we can get the county to be much stronger? And is there things that we can do to make our cities work together and do things together to have a positive outcome from all this? So I just wanted to give you a sense that there's things that we can do. Now, I would like to encourage you to sign up for the newsletter where you can get more information and find out what people think about that. And I'm going to ask you if you'll consider doing that right now. You don't have to if you don't want to, but again, it's easy to opt out if you like. So here's what I would recommend if you are willing to do it. If you pull out your cell phone, if you have an interest, if you don't want to do it and embarrass me, you could pretend like you're doing it. But if you'll just go to your, where you send out text, and if you go to send a text to 22828, 22828, and then in the line where you put down the body of what you want to say, put in Birmingham. And if you put, pardon? 22828, and then when you put down what your message would be, just put Birmingham. And I can show you after if you like. And if you do that, you should get a text back wanting to know your email address, and then you can just put in your email address and you're signed up. Now, I don't want you to think that I don't like Birmingham, because I love Birmingham. You couldn't get me to move away in a million years. And because Birmingham is really a great place to live. And first of all, we have great health care with UAB and the other things. A lot of people take it for granted. My wife is a breast cancer survivor, and quite frankly, I think if she hadn't been in Birmingham, she would have had not very good chance of surviving. We went to UAB in Kirkland Clinic, and she got her chemotherapy, and people will say, well, where are you from? And we're like 15 minutes away. People come from all over to UAB for their health care. Birmingham is a gorgeous city. I live up in Vestavia. When I come down over the mountain to Homewood, I'm just in awe of how pretty it is looking out over the mountain, how gorgeous it is in spring and fall, and so Birmingham's pretty. The people are nice and generous. Almost every list that you see of people giving, Birmingham will be in the top 5. It's pretty remarkable. And it's easy to get around Birmingham for sure, compared to many other cities. So in many cases, people call Birmingham the 20-minute city because you can pretty get from one place to the other in about 20 minutes. So Birmingham's a great place to live, a great place to raise families, but I think we just need to do some things so that we can create opportunities so our kids can have careers and stay with us. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I enjoyed talking with you today.
Is it on now? Thank you. Our church is supported by those who call our church home and by those who support the efforts of our church to change our world for the better. If this is your first time with us, please pass the plate. We are just glad you are here. If you wish to join our church this morning, please come up during the offertory to sign the membership book. We share our cash plate every Sunday with organizations whose work reflects UU values to care for marginalized persons, advocate for real and systemic change, defend our environment, and promote justice and equity for all. Today's Share the Plate will be for the Greater Birmingham Ministries, a multi-faith, multiracial organization that provides page 2, that provides emergency services for people in need and engages the poor and the non-poor in systemic change efforts to build a strong, supportive, engaged community and pursue a more just society. We appreciate your donations either by placing them in the plate, by mailing your donation to the church, or by using PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. More information is found in the order of service in the lower right corner. May we give and love and hope.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, the extinguishing of our chalice, and remain standing through the benediction. Our closing hymn today is 121 in your hardcover hymnal. And in this song of the chorus, we replace the words sister and brother for siblings and kindred. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for one another. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, and be loving.
Thank you, David, so much for your words this morning. It answered so many questions for me about what I've been noticing in Birmingham, and I also realize that our community is such a great example of how we can cross those city boundaries and be together. So my benediction for you today is, may we find more ways to work together across our communities and in our communities for a better world and a better Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Go in peace.